dance of hands and feet, to sweep the floor and hold my breath until the house was me. They told me if I fixed the world would let me be like quiet girls who carry all are finally set free. So I became a mirror, reflecting every need, a perfect little daughter, a garden for the seed. And when you came and took my hand, I saw the same old sign: if I can make you happy, then your joy would become mine. I'm reading every flicker, the tightening of your jaw. I'm learning every shadow, every crack and every flaw. You don't have to say a word for me to know my place. I see the woman that you want in the silence on your face. Be softer, be thinner, don't let your voice rise high. I'm sanding down my edges just to catch your wandering eye, because I don't know another way to earn a well done. Not in the church of your approval, you're the only living God. It's the only way I know to live, the only way to breathe, to build a wall of service so the anger doesn't seethe. I'll be the perfect woman, the one you think you want. I'll bear the weight of everything until the day is done, because if I don't perform the role, I simply disappear. And I'd rather be your victim than a ghost that isn't here. Behind the heavy curtains where the perfect image dies, you take what isn't offered, ignoring all my cries. But I tell myself I asked for it, or I didn't try enough. I'm the one who didn't polish out the edges that were rough. If I had just been prettier or made a little more, you wouldn't have to slam your fist against the bedroom door. My art is just a distraction from the work I have to do to keep the world from noticing the broken parts of you. You put your friends on pedestals, I'm the dirt beneath your boots, but I'm still digging deeper to find our tangled roots. I've been taught since I was tiny that my comfort is a crime, that if I just take care of you, I'll get my turn in time. It's the only way I know to live, the only way to breathe, to build a wall of service so the anger doesn't seethe. I'll be the perfect woman, the one you think you want. I'll bear the weight of everything until the day is done, because if I don't perform the role, I simply disappear. And I'd rather be your victim than a ghost that isn't here. I'm sure this is how everyone feels. I'm sure this is the way it goes. Just one more task, one more mask, until the ending shows. If I just did better, maybe then I'd be You painted me in gold and called me a queen, the most important person that you'd ever seen. But the pedestal is narrow and the air was getting thin. I didn't know the price of the skin I was in. to hide the fact your pockets were empty in the night. So I stepped into the role I took on the street, trying to build a kingdom inside of your brain. I see the cycle starting when the morning is gray. You're thinking about the money that we don't have today. So you pick and you prod until I finally snapped. And you step back, smiling like I fell for the trap. Why are you so crazy? Why can't you let it go? After you spent hours putting on the whole show, no apology comes, just a cold gaslight sun, blaming me for the war that you already won. You wanted the penthouse, the jet, and the name. I was just a fuel you burned for the flame. You wanted the power to never be forgotten, while the roots of the garden were turning and rotting. A life that was simple and true, but I spent all my time just performing for you, looking for beauty in the grass and the trees, while you were busy bringing me down to my knees. You talked about the millions you should have by now. If you work since the start, you'll be taking a bow. So you won't take a job unless the title is brand, while I'm holding the world in the palm of my hand. I looked at the programs, the high-paying grind, searching for a future I didn't want to find. But art doesn't pay for a mansion in May, so you call my spirit a waste of a day. 50,000 a month was the price of your peace, a hunger for status that would never decrease. I love the way the light hits the leaves in the park, but you only see the world when it's cold and it's dark. I was the work crew, the wife in the bank, while you were the captain of a ship, as it say. You wanted the penthouse, the jet, and the name. I was just a fuel you burned for the flame. You wanted the power to never be forgotten, while the roots of the garden were turning and rotting. A life that was simple and true, but I spent all my time just performing for you, looking for beauty in the grass and the trees, while you were busy bringing me down to my knees. Just let it go. You say after you broke my heart for the day, just let it go. But I'm the only one who had anything to lose. I just wanted to paint, I just wanted to breathe, but you only love the me that you could use. I checked the boxes, I followed the map, I stayed in the lines and I avoided the trap. The daughter who listens, the girl with the grace, with a porcelain smile glued onto my face. They told me the harvest would come if I sold every ounce of my spirit to pay what I owed. So I'm standing here polished to shimmer in prize, with a hollowed out chest and these heavy lidded eyes. The alarm clock is screaming, a third in my head, and I'm grieving the morning before I'm out of bed. The tears start to spill, but I choke them back down. I can't let the salt water ruin this gown. I layer the powder, I paint on the glow, a high definition one-woman show. The employee of the month, the wife of the year, hiding the scent of the salt and the fear. But where is the happy? Where is the light? I've done everything good, I've done everything right. I'm dying in silence, I'm fading to gray, while I'm fixing the world and I'm clearing the way. I'm the perfect machine, I'm the perfect machine, but I'm breaking inside. With nowhere to run and with nowhere to hide. You wake up demanding, you wake up aggrieved, cursing the ghost of the life you perceived. You want a new watch or a faster made car to prove to the neighbors how special you are. So I clock in the hours and I chase down the gold, selling my soul for the lies we were told. The money hand. Is there a ceiling? Is there a peak? Or is enough just a language I'll never quite speak? I'm running a race with a shifting finish line, giving my life to make everyone shine. If I'm the one carrying every heavy load, why am I the one left to die on the road? Where is the happy? I've done everything good. I'm dying in silence, I'm fading to gray while I'm fixing the world and I'm clearing the way. I'm the perfect machine, but I'm breaking inside. With nowhere to run and with nowhere to hide. Just one more shift, just one more yes. Maybe the joy is under the stress. I'm doing it right and I'm being so good. So why does it feel like I'm drowning in wood?
Check the box, keep the face. Keep the pace, keep the faith.
Where is it?
Check the box, keep the faith. Keep the pace, keep the faith.
The house is cold and still. I followed every order, I bent to every will. I carved away my edges, I silenced every no. I became the hollow statue you wanted me to show. But you got bored of the perfection of the mask I had to wear. You left me with the echoes and the stillness of the air. The company is bankrupt, the office doors are chained, and everything they sacrificed is everything that's drained. I'm standing in the wreckage of a life I didn't know, reaping every bitter seed that everyone has sown. I did exactly what they asked, I played the perfect part. So why is there a firing squad aimed right at my heart? Was it all for nothing? Every yes and every breath, just to lead me to this doorway, to this living kind of death. I don't know how to move because the puppet strings are cut, and every door that led to me is bolted tight and shut. Why am I being punished? And I did everything right. Why am I left shivering in the middle of the night? They promised me a harvest if I gave away my soul, but the debt is never settled and I'll never be whole. It was a lie, a golden hug, a sugar-coated cage, and now I'm just a ghost on a decimated stage. My mother looks me over, says it's such a crying shame you didn't have a child to carry on the name, as if a tiny life would fix the ruins of my own, as if I haven't carried enough weight alone. It'll get better, they all whisper, like a script they have to read, while I'm bleeding on a carpet from a hollow, desperate need. I nod and walk the straight line, I keep my shoulders I'm changing, shifting colors like a flame, just to find that in the ending no one even knows my name. I lost the will to fight the tide, I lost the will to stay, when the perfect life I traded for just threw itself away. I'm empty, I am nothing, I am stripped down to the bone, in a world I built for everyone, but I'm standing here alone. Why am I being punished when I did everything right? Why am I left shivering in the middle of the night? They promised me a harvest if I gave away my soul, but the debt is never settled and I'll never be whole. It was a lie, a golden hook, a sugar-coated cage, and now I'm just a ghost on a decimated stage. Just keep walking straight, don't let them see the break. Everything for nothing, everything was fake. I did what you wanted, so why is this my fate? Why? Everything for nothing, I'm so tired. Of building on a foundation made of sand, giving every dream I had into your greedy hand. I thought the happy was a prize that I would eventually earn, but you just took the light away and let the bridges burn. Now I'm in an attic room under the eaves so high, with two cats in the shadows and a grey and heavy sky. The TV stays on all night long to drown the voices out, while I'm pacing in the silence of my failure and my doubt. An apple and a piece of sweet is all that I can take. The thought of food is poison, like a fever or an ache. I'm disappearing slowly, dropping weight, feeling thin. You look so sexy, family says, not seeing the state I'm in. My head is spinning constantly, I'm grasping for the wall, but as long as I am pretty, no one cares if I should fall. I go to the gym at midnight, a ghost among the steel, because I can't let the living see the way I actually feel. I'm the one who studied hard, the one who read the books, but I'm the failure of the flock, judged by how it looks. They say I never follow through, that I always lose the spark, but they don't see I'm running through the tunnel in the dark. I'm doing what I have to do, not what I ever wanted, living in a bubble where the perfect life is haunted. I tried to draw the world again, to find a line that's true, but tells me they are wrong, that they'll ruin the real medicine that keeps the body strong. She only knows what she's been told, third grade was where it stopped. But I'm the one with the degree whose world has just been dropped. It's a shame you didn't have a child, she whispers in my ear, ignoring every no I've said for year after bitter year. My brother says come home, but home is where the pressure grows, where depressed is just a word for someone weak who never shows. In a culture built on pushing through, on hiding every tear, there's no room for the broken girl who's paralyzed by fear. I'm the one who studied hard, the one who read the books, but I'm the failure of the flock, judged by how it looks. They say I never follow through, that I always lose the spark, but they don't see I'm running through the tunnel in the dark. I'm doing what I have to do, not what I ever wanted, living in a bubble where the perfect life is haunted. Everything I want is worthless because it won't make us rich. So I sit here in the attic in my own little niche. I'm a ghost in the daytime, I'm a shadow in the night, just trying to survive. The perfect life's blight, just hands drawing hands, just the TV light. I gave my all for nothing. I was the daughter she prayed for, the jewel in her crown, the girl she could dress up and show to the town. In the heat of the islands, under the Philippine sky, they say, "Sa'y maganda ang pinili, ang iisa." I walked as the queen through the streets of the city, with an orchestra playing and a world looking pretty. I loved being wanted, the line at the door, the princess, and they were all looking for. The house was a project, the builders were there. The scent of the rice fields was thick in the air, a crush in the moonlight, a secret, a thrill. Then the world went so quiet, the world went so still. I don't remember much of the dark or the pain, just the moon on the water and the ghost of a stain. I remember being limp as he dragged me away, while the night turned to ashes and the world turned to gray. Huwag niyong sabihin, don't make a sound, or he'll put a man in the cold hard ground. Ingatan ng pamilya, kapayapaang tinitiis. Let the shame be the silence that brings no relief. So I just nodded and swallowed the scream. While he walked away like a ghost in a dream. The father came to thank me with a gratitude from within. Salamat at hindi na lumabas sa atin. He sent him away to a place 13 years later, the truth finally broke when the weight of his pleading felt just like a choke. My brother asked why, and I gave him a word, but the answer was a fire that he'd never heard. He asked me, gusto mo bang mawala na siya para sa ninakaw na 13 taon at sa'yong pagdurusa? He called him a friend, he had sat at his table while I was a secret, a myth and a fable. But I told him no, let the shadows just stay. Blood wouldn't wash all the memories away. I just needed a space where I didn't have to hide from the girl in the dress who was dying inside. Huwag mong sabihin, don't make a sound. Well, he'll put a man in the cold hard ground. Ingatan ng pamilya, kapayapaang tinitiis. Let the shame be the silence that brings no release. So I just nodded and swallowed the scream while he walked away like a ghost in a dream. Reina, Reina in a beautiful gown, the pride of the family, the talk of the town. But the road was so dark and the moon was so bright. I'm still on that road in the middle of the night. Just let him be. Don't tell her what mong sasabihin. Don't tell her tahimik lang. Don't tell her, just let me be. I just wanna be. The walls I built for you came crashing to the floor when you took the keys and pushed me through the door. No house, no paycheck, just a heavy, hollow sky and a darkness in my chest that wouldn't let me cry. Depression was a shadow, a hand around my throat. I was a sinking sailor on a splintered little boat, just one foot and the other through the middle of the gray, trying to find a reason not to throw it all away. Now the screen lights up with words you shouldn't send about the great mistake and how you're missing a friend. Your circle tells you now that you threw away the gold, but the story's over and the ashes have gone cold. You say you miss the us from 1,000 years ago, but you broke me into pieces that you'll never even know. When I look at your name, I don't feel the sting of fire. It's just a fading memory of a world upon a pride. Now I'm sitting on a doorstep while the world turns white and green, looking at the light that lives in all the space between. charcoal and the fingers stained with clay. Doesn't care if I'm in silk or a sweater that's too old. He just wants to keep me from the biting winter cold. He sees the ordinary as a window to my soul. He doesn't need to break me just to make himself feel whole. For the first time in my life, I don't have to fix the air. I can just exist and breathe because a gentle someone is there. The penthouse was a prison, the jet was just a lie. I'd rather have this dirt and this open, honest sky. The fields are breathing steady and the wind is soft and low, and I'm finally planting seeds that are actually allowed to grow. Yeah, I'm sitting on a doorstep while the world turns white and green, looking at the life that lives in all the space between. There's a peace out in the country that I never thought I'd find, leaving all the noise and all your perfection far behind. Drinking tea in the silence as the sun begins to set. Finally living in a moment that I don't have to regret. You made your choice, I found my voice. The memories are echoes in a hall I've walked away from. I'm content, I'm quiet, I'm home.
Looking out over the fields, tea is warm, the storm is gone. Looking out over the fields, tea is warm, the storm is gone.
The room was filled with lilies. The air was thick and gray. I watched the way they bowed their heads. I knew just what to say. I saw the salt upon their cheeks, the shaking of the hand. So I pulled the strings inside of me to join the morning band. And when the steel came flashing by, a blur across the hall, I felt a strange curiosity I didn't feel at all, until I saw the teachers cry, the children filled with dread. Then I found a rhythm for the tears I had to shed. I've been scanning every shadow, even in my sleep, counting every promise that I knew I couldn't keep. To be the daughter, be the friend, to be the perfect view. I spent a lifetime building a version of the true, but the mask is made of iron, and the skin beneath is thin. I didn't know where I left off and where the play would begin. My mother wanted porcelain, a girl to hold her pride. So I swept the weirdness out of sight and locked it all inside. I learned the tilt of every head, the silver of a laugh. I drew a line through who I was and walked the other path. I thought that this was living, just a game of chess and light. the spark. Then the world went quiet. The job, the house, the man, the engine stopped its humming, and I ran out of a plan. The doctor looked me in the eye and told me it was named a lifetime spent in camouflage, exhausted and ashamed. For 30 years I changed my shape to fit into their palm, while the sea inside was screaming. I was acting out the calm. I've been scanning every shadow, even in my sleep, counting every promise that I knew I couldn't keep. To be the daughter, be the friend, to be the perfect view. I spent a lifetime building a version of the true, but the mask is made of iron, and the skin beneath is thin. I didn't know where I left off and where the play would begin. I wasn't enough, that's what the silence said. So I wore their faces and I lived inside my head. But the lights are coming up now, the audience is gone, and I'm standing in the wreckage of a costume I've outdrawn. Scanning, scanning, scanning. Who am I? Who am I without the mask? I just wanna be. I'd hide behind the sofa, quiet as a mouse, plucking at a single string, hidden in the house, waiting for the heavy step, the shadow on the tile, waiting for the way you'd find me. With a sudden smile, then we'd sit upon the carpet, the console glowing blue. You'd ask me all about the world that I was moving through. You never said it wasn't right, you never turned away. You'd say, I'll play the next round, let me watch you lead the way. I remember the night station, Ma handing over the line. I'd run into your shadow, and suddenly I was fine. The night train was a kingdom where we'd talk away the miles, trading stories of our weeks and sharing tired smiles. I'd follow the ink upon your forearms, a story I could trace, a map of homemade needles etched into a different space. You told me how you did them with a steady, quiet hand, a restless soul just trying to find a place to finally land. They tell me I am like you, always moving, never still, changing every game I play by the power of my will. Artistic and a little quiet, searching for the new. I see the person that I am, and I see a ghost of you. You weren't a perfect man, I know the shadows and the rain, I know the choices that you made and all the hidden pain. But you never let the storm inside reach the child at play. You kept the world a gentle place before you went away. Now my own fingers are stained with the charcoal and the ink. I sit inside the silence and I wonder what you think. Would you be proud to see the lines I'm drawing on the page? The stories taking 2 weeks left to lurk. But now I'm building a world out of colors and of light, trying to settle in the ways you never could quite fight. I hope you're in the gallery, watching from the wings, as I find my own rhythm, and I pluck at my own strings. They tell me I am like you, always moving, never still, changing every game I play by the power of my will. Artistic and a little quiet, searching for the new. I see the person that I am, and I see a ghost of you. You weren't a perfect man, I know the shadows and the rain, I know the choices that you made and all the hidden pain. But you never let the storm inside reach the child at play. You kept the world a gentle place before you went away. The console's off, the ink is wet on the artist you haven't seen yet. But I'm your daughter, and I'm your echo. I think you'd be proud when I'm on your arms, and on the lines that I draw. I'm doing okay, I'm doing okay. You were just 20 when you packed your bags and flew across the ocean to a world that was cold and strange and new, leaving your firstborn by the shore, a heavy price to pay to send the money back across the miles and gray. The oldest of 16 mouths that needed to be fed. You traded away your childhood for the daily piece of bread. You did what you thought was right, you lived by duty's law, and you brought that heavy armor to every line you draw. I know I felt the sharp edge of the choices that you made. I know the parts of my own heart that had to pull and fade. But I don't have a room for anger, I don't hold a bitter spark. I see the girl who carried everyone through the dark. You didn't do it out of malice, you didn't mean to wound. You were just a weary soldier to a different rhythm tuned. I look at my two brothers and I see you in their face. They have your quiet mannerisms, your features and your grace. But I took after father, I'm the wild and restless one. Daughter in the trousers, chasing after fields and sun. I wasn't made for pretty dresses or the roles you wished I'd choose. I'm a different kind of canvas with a different set of views. We still argue on the doorstep about the children I won't bear. But beneath the heavy static, there's a wire always there. You wanted a traditional road, a safe and steady life, a quiet, predictable future as a mother and a wife. And though I built my world from ink and paper and a song, I know that in your own way you see that I am strong. I see the look inside your eyes when you talk about my part. I know that you are proud of me deep inside your heart. You brag about your daughter when the we seem to lack. The oldest of 16, the night train and the shore, we're okay. I spent my childhood standing on the edges of the room, watching how the others moved, a flower forced to bloom. They said my thoughts were heavy and my interests were too strange. They handed me a textbook and they told me I must change. I sat with pens and paper, drawing creatures from my mind, but they called them weird and scary things to leave behind. So I switched to drawing portraits, a silly hobby they could show, to save them from explaining why my monsters like to grow. They'd pass them round the table, saying art won't pay the bills, while ignoring all the pieces of the worlds I had to kill. And I still remember singing, frozen stiff before the crowd. I never wanted stages, I just wanted Ma to be proud, to give her something beautiful to brag about to friends. So I played the part she wanted, bending to her end. So I looked for love in pieces along a winding track, giving all of who I was and never asking back. There was the father that I cherished, with his flaws and with his ink, who kept the world so gentle when the ship began to sink. Then the boy across the ocean, in the states where promise grew, but the weight of all that distance broke the only truth we knew. I'm the one in the Philippines who worked to clear the land, who wanted to be ready just to ask me for my hand. And the one in Sweden, it began just like a crush, a slow and quiet gravity, a soft and steady rush. He never meant to break me, he didn't mean to harm, but year by year the cold crept in and stole away the warmth. He didn't see the pieces or the ghost he left behind, but it nearly erased the woman that I spent my life to find. I was running on an engine fed by everyone's demand, trying to build a palace out of shifting heavy sand, thinking if I made them happy, if I carried every load, I'd finally find a place to rest at the end of the road. But the road was just a circle and the mirror was a lie. I was fading into nothing while the years went rushing by. My body was a battlefield, my identity a ghost, stranded in a family where I felt the blur the most. I grew up with the children chasing dreams across the lawn. We used to sing to pop stars and stay up until the dawn. Now we laugh about commuting and how the train is late. We talk of work and taxes and the things upon our plate, but beneath the adult clothing we're as silly as before. The same old inside jokes are spilling out across the floor. And I wondered where the girl went, the one who used to hide behind the floor sofa with the music deep inside. Then the scaffolding all crumbled and I fell into the desert. empty shelter that demands no perfect part, just a safe place for the beating of a tired, healing heart. So I'm putting down late expectations, stripping off the mask, I'm erasing every answer to the questions they would ask. I don't want the roaring stage, I don't want the heavy crown. I'm letting all the heavy armor tumble to the ground. I just want to exist now, in the space that I have made, to let the scars be beautiful, to let the memories fade. I can see it clearly now, the wooden doorstep in the sun, a cup of warm tea in my hand. The rushing days are done, looking out across the fields where the green and yellow meet. The wind is blowing through the grass, cool against my feet. No one's asking me to change, no one's telling me to run. The voices in the hallway are all quiet, one by one. I am enough, just sitting here, just breathing in